Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakat, Kwadash. Double honours to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, especially the 144,000, consisting of the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, today I'm looking at prophecy and current events. Over the last few weeks, those whose eyes, spiritual eyes are truly open, we've started to notice a huge change in the things that are happening around us. It's almost as if the Most High has, gone up a gear. And, we're seeing civil unrest increase. And we're seeing tensions build in the Middle East. And we're seeing Klaus Schwab, what we refer to as the WEF. I don't know if he's still part of it. I thought I read an article that he was supposed to be leaving, but he still seems to be showing up on the pictures. But they've announced a couple of days ago that they're expecting 6 billion dead by next year, 2025. 6 billion ways to die. And so this is what the prophets have been warning you about. Been saying that the times are going to come very draconian, and there's going to be harsh judgment, harsh rule, and you're going to see a real change of events, Jacob's trouble, and the Most High ultimately bringing judgment to the earth. 8 billion people minus the elect, the 144,000 and the elect. So, that's where we're at the minute. We can all quite see that quite easily. You can pull up 101 different articles to show you where we're at. We can all see it. At this point, people only fall into one of two categories. You can either see everything that we can see, the type of things that I talk about, the type of things that you probably see yourselves. You watch the men at GMS. There's a certain level of information that's going out, and if your eyes are open to it, and with that you can see how close we are. We're very close. Things are about to change drastically very soon. The Most High is about to become very brutal very soon, and it's all coming in the name of judgment, Jacob's trouble, so on and so forth. But then you could be in that category where you can see it, or you can be in a totally different category where you don't see it. Now those people, some of them are able to pick up on certain bits of information. Maybe they know they're an Israelite, maybe they can see World War III coming, or they can see this or that, but they can't see the full spectrum of what we can see. And we can see a little bit more detail, a little bit more further down the road. And it's because of the Holy Spirit, it's because of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, showing us through our third eye, and so on and so forth, supping with us through the scriptures and opening our minds and eyes to the events that are happening. Now, for me personally, in the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've had a lot of different revelations brought to me, and it's obviously opened up my understanding of things, and a lot of things that I've been speaking about for the last 6 years are starting to happen before my eyes. And so that's why I've spoken about some of these things quite confidently, because I knew they were coming to pass. The Spirit shows you what's due to happen, and then, like I say, within the last month I started to receive even more revelation, and then I started to find out certain bits of information about myself, for example, involved with myself, and it leads me down this path and that path. And this is why we say, you can't just wake up in the morning and decide to be a prophet. A wise man once said, you can't just wake up in the morning and decide to be a prophet one day. You have to go through a process. The Most High has to show you the future in the past, and then you have to be able to see it from the past, speak about it. You then have to be reborn in that time to then catch your own description of those events, and to be able to repeat them again at that crucial time when the warning needs to go out. You need to understand the aspect of the Most High's mindset. And these are things you can't always just pick up necessarily through, the scriptures are there. You can read them, you can recite them, you can learn them, you can understand them, go through the historical content. But until the Holy Spirit then sups with you and shows you that extra little bit that the average person can't get, these are all the things that you need to obtain before you wake up in the morning and decide to be a prophet. So there's a lot of people that just wake up and decide to be a prophet and they're not actually prophets. So, looking at all that, I've explained before, I came into this thing, through a vision. I got changed into someone who didn't read the scriptures, to someone who wanted to know about the scriptures, and someone who believes in Yahushua. And that was through an event where I had a particular vision. And I've explained that vision before. And I've explained, if I've done videos in detail. It's taken about 2 hours to do a video. There's lots of information in there. Sometimes I've mentioned it and I've just brushed over certain points. And there's one particular point in there which I never quite understood. And it's only now, this particular weekend, that it's been revealed to me through the Holy Spirit why I saw what I saw. And so this is why you can't just wake up and decide to be a prophet, because the Most High, Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua, will open up your mind. But then there's other parts, there's many levels to truth. So this is why we say you can't just decide, these people that wake up, they say, oh, I'm an Israelite. Yeah, but that doesn't mean, the Most High's working with you. You have had your mind open up in one little section to know you're an Israelite, but there are thousands of other sections in there of truth, which within your mind, which could be opened up, even to the point where you could then find out who you are in those ancient times. And then, you realize that you wrote down these scriptures for yourself to read a few thousand years later. So there's that level of truth. But then there's the level of truth where you just know you're an Israelite. There's many a huge range of levels of truth in between. So you've got, like I say, this is why we say, take on board the scriptures, hopefully the Lord willing, the Spirit's working with you, and you work your way up that understanding of truth. So you can't just wake up and decide to be a prophet because you think you've got your head around it because you've read the scriptures and you've got the book in front of you, but there are parts to your understanding that can be open and revealed to you, which then actually make you a true prophet rather than a pretend prophet, a charlatan. And so like I say, I had this one particular piece revealed. The Most High can put something in front of your face. He can show it to you as clear as day. And no matter what happens, no matter who breaks it down, no matter what you do, you still can't see what it really means. Until the day the Most High then decides to then unlock it and say, okay, now I'll let you know what it means. You've already seen it, but now I'll let you know what it means. These ancient prophets, they wrote down these prophecies because the Most High gave it to them. But they didn't know what it meant. They just wrote it down. And like I say, here we are thousands of years later, those same men, the spirits are back on them. They look back at the same words written down and they say, okay, yeah, this is for me. And Apostle Tahar always says that we know more than the ancient prophets. It's because the ancient prophets are back with their writings, but now they're able to look around them and connect them to the events that are happening around us on a daily basis. This is Apostle Paul, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It says 13 and 12, just to the point. It says, for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. It says, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. So Apostle Paul spoke of seeing through a glass darkly. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. That's all I really need to take from that. We see through a glass darkly. And so, if you sort of think of these ancient prophets, they were here, 3,000 years ago, seeing things in the future. They had no idea what it meant. Just like, I don't know, I'll just write it down or whatever, or someone scribes it, and it's there. It's historical evidence. And then, prophets came now, for example. So the prophets now can see closer. They're closer to the events that are happening that they wrote down. They read, the Spirit gets put back on them. They wake back up. They pick up their scriptures. They read them, and then they're closer to the events happening. So seeing through that glass darkly is not as dark as it was 3,000 years ago. And we're on the very doorstep of these major destructive prophecies. The one that's, the main prophecies spoken of by these ancient prophets. We're on the very doorstep of these things actually about to happen. And so, like I say, at that time, there'll be a famine of hearing the word, and you'll be on your own. And then you'll have to be working with the Spirit that you've got. And so, this goes to anyone, that's believing that they're of the elect. So you're going to have to then see through your glass. But how darkly is it? And this is where the faith comes in, to believe in Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So as we get closer, you go through these events, even through Jacob's trouble, messages will come. The Spirit will come to you within your mind and show you what to do in emergency situations, what maneuver to make. And so things become clear, but you don't really know where it's going to go. And this kind of leans back onto you having that faith. This is Matthew chapter 10. So this is Yahweh Shai, as you can see here, Matthew chapter 10, the 12 disciples' instructions for service. It says, and when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. It says, now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, who is the head disciple. There's an Andrew, his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother. There's Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. Judas was eventually replaced by Matthias, and then obviously you have Apostle Paul, who's the 13th, you could say 14th apostle, obviously, but ultimately 13. And so what's happening here in this chapter, they're being given instructions. So you move down to verse 16, it says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. But back to 24, where I really wanted to go. The meaning of discipleship says the disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they are called the master of the house of Beelzebub, if they called Yahweh Shai, the house of the devil, pretty much they called him a devil for some of the works he did. It says, how much more shall they call them of his household? So, he's given this warning to his disciples, who later became the apostles, and he's telling them that you're going to teach of me, and if they hate me, what do you think they're going to do to you? It says, fear them not therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. It says, what I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. So this is, part of the instructions given to the apostles. It says, what I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in lights, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. So for example, like I say, I had this little revelation this weekend. It goes back to the vision that I had at the beginning in 2018. And so that's why I'll reveal it. But this also goes back into why you can't just wake up and decide to be a prophet. Because first of all, you need the spirit of Yahushua to sup with you. And then at some point you may even have to put your neck on the line to fulfill that particular role. So when you jump into Acts 1, I believe this is Acts 1 and 1. I believe it's written, I looked it up, it says it's written by Luke. And it says here, the former treatise have I made thee, the former declaration have I made thee, O Theophilus, of all that Yahushua began both to do and teach. It says here, until the day in which he was taken up, after that he through the Holy Spirit had given commandments unto the apostles whom he had chosen, to whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the Most High, pertaining to the kingdom of the Most High. And being assembled together with them, commanded that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which, saith he, ye have heard of me. So, the apostles are pretty much taught directly by Yahushua. The disciples, knew Yahushua, obviously, when he was alive. They trained up to become apostles. And then, when Yahushua was put on the cross and his blood was shed, after that point, he then spent 40 days with the apostles, teaching them after he had, supposedly died. So the reason for that is to increase the faith. You see, it's one thing to sit with a man, and the man says, well, you're going to be saved from your sins through my blood. So when I die, go and teach everybody that I'm coming back to save the elect. But that's a very difficult thing to do. That's essentially what we're doing. We're saying to people that, look, someone who died 2,000 years ago is going to crack the skies, bust the sky open, turn up with an angelic army and take down his kingdom. This is what we're telling you. And so really, in a logical sense, that doesn't seem realistic. But what happened, you see, Yahushua came back to the apostles after he'd been put on the cross to then show them, look, this is me. 40 days. So he's teaching them, he's showing them things. And it's the same thing eventually with Apostle Paul. You see, this then takes your faith to a completely next level, where then if someone says to you, you're going to put your head on a guillotine if you don't stop preaching the word of Yahushua, then you're prepared to do it. And so this takes you back to the statement a wise man once said: you can't just wake up in the morning and decide to be a prophet, because when they stick you in the line of for the guillotine, and they say, okay, so you're calling on Yahushua. See, everybody's calling on Yahushua today. All these false prophets. Some of them say the name, some of them don't. They all mix it in. It's all a bit murky. The Most High doesn't deal with grey areas. So are you calling on the Most High's names, but you're wearing a baseball cap, or you're selling garments? We have IUIC that they just done away with the name altogether. But ultimately, all these people around the earth that claim to be prophets of the Most High, if we line you up for the guillotine and say you're going to go on that guillotine for the name of Yahushua, would you actually do it? See, the men that have done it are, obviously apart from John on the Isle of Patmos, the others did it. or they went through certain situations, and that was for what? That was for the name of Yahushai. What did those men have in common? They had experience, revelation, conversation, things being revealed to them from the dark, directly from Yahushai. So that's what you're going to need. You can't just rock up on the corner with a microphone, start preaching about the Most High. And what happens when it comes down to the time they march you to the guillotine? Are you still a prophet then? This is what I want to know. So you woke up in the morning, decided to be a prophet, but if they're going to march you down to the guillotine by lunchtime, are you still going to be calling yourself a prophet? It's a big question. So so from that, you then had Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul never met Yahushai, but Apostle Paul had he was knocked off the horse by Yahushai. Obviously, he then had 3 years of Yahushai working with him through the Spirit, and ultimately, when you put it into basic logic, what is that? That is Apostle Paul again dealing with the spirit of a man who died, saying, "I'm coming back for my people." So that had to happen. Otherwise, when they said to Apostle Paul, "Look, we're going to chop your head off for preaching the word of Yahushai," he would have said, "No, I'm not going to do it." But to make him do it, he had to actually go through the process of supping with the Spirit directly in order to give him that level of faith. The level of faith you don't know exists until that actually happens to you. We don't realize that level of faith as a human being, because how many people would you take a bullet for in reality? But to do it, you then have to, if the person comes back out of the dead, so to speak, shows you he's still alive and I'm coming back to take over this kingdom in how many years, that takes you to a level of faith where you then go and preach that this person that died is coming back one day. Again, like I say, there's many people out here, "Oh, Jesus is coming back." They preach for the name of Jesus. He's coming back one day. These people, they say, "Oh, I've got faith. I believe that he's going to rise again." Blah blah blah. They don't even know what they're talking about. They worship what they not know. They just waffling. First of all, you're just believing in a thing that doesn't exist. Your Christianity belief system is concocted around making you feel good about yourself. And you're sitting there going, "I've got faith," but it's all a lot of wish-wash. But anyway, you go to Paul's vision. This is when Paul's spirit went up to heaven. It says here, 2 Corinthians 12, verse 1, it says, "It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord." It says, "I knew a man in the anointed, in Yahushai, basically above 14 years ago, whether in the body, I cannot tell, whether out of the body, I cannot tell. It says, the Most High knoweth, such as one caught up in the third heaven." It says, "And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, the Most High knoweth." And it says, "How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for man to utter." And lawful, this is not nothing to do with the law. What he's trying to say is, I saw things I don't know how to even explain it to you. I don't even know how to put it into words what I saw. It says, of such and one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. This is, for though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And then he goes on to talk about a thorn in his flesh. And what Apostle Paul's talking, Apostle Paul's talking about a situation where he was stoned to death. His spirit went up to heaven, and then after that, it was pretty much, cut a long story short, his body's put back down, his spirit's put back down into his body. He comes back alive. And he says, while he went up there, he saw things which are, it says how that he was caught up into paradise, which is heaven, and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter. Nothing to do with the law. It's just to do with the fact that, Apostle Paul's basically saying, I'm lost for words. If I try to describe to you what I saw, it's beyond the words that I have. And it's a similar thing that I said in the beginning when I first came to the truth. I've explained it many times before. I had this particular vision, certain things I understood about it, and here we are today. And even now, the Most High Yahweh B'Hashem Hawashai is opening up my mind to certain things that I saw in that particular vision. So to talk about the vision, I have to show you this particular picture. Apostle Paul spoke of things he was unable to speak of. There's, like I said, there's different levels to truth, different levels to revelation, and different levels to faith, which comes with the revelation of truth. So by Apostle Paul going to heaven, he obviously saw something which he couldn't describe. And you think he was working as a minister, in the name of Yahweh Shai, and yet, he had all that experience. He'd written these epistles and so on and so forth, all these different things. He's going around, preaching in the name of Yahweh Shai after learning with him through the Spirit. Yet he was still unable to describe what he saw. See, when I had the vision myself 6.5 years ago when I came to the truth, I saw the vision and I was able to describe. See, it's not on, seeing the vision is a high level of truth, but it's not as high as a level of truth as, for example, your spiritual self going up into heaven, and seeing that, and then going back into your body. But you see the vision, it still is a high level of truth, and it's very hard to describe. You can be lost for words, especially in my situation where I'd never read any scriptures. Ultimately, eventually, when I came to, I spent 1.5 years working with the Spirit after that, so I understood there was a power, and I understood the connection between myself and the power, and how things operate. And then eventually I came to the elder apostles of GMS. And so they're able to break the scriptures down, and then it makes sense. You then realize the precepts applied to what I saw. And then it becomes easy to explain. So at first it was difficult to explain, but obviously with the precepts it's easy to explain. Apostle Paul also mentioned, whether in my body, I don't know. Only the Most High know, because he's basically saying, look, my spirit went up into heaven. I saw paradise. I know what I saw, but what my body, what's going on with my body at that moment, only the Most High knows, because obviously he's not in connection with his body. When you have the vision, you are obviously, like you read of these ancient prophets, and they say, in that day the Spirit of the Lord was on me. And then a vision comes, and I saw this and I saw that. They are, they feel the connection with their body. However, the spirit, the vision is very overpowering. So what you're seeing, your vision through your third eye, is fully locked in. But obviously I was aware that I was still standing on the ground and everything else. So that was January 2018, and I've explained it before, but briefly, I was sitting there eating my food, chicken and rice. I was watching this YouTube documentary. I actually remember, I don't always mention it, but I remember that there was a video came up and it said, people who voted for Brexit, that was the work of the Most High. And in the end, I went back to that video later on, and the guy botched the breakdown, but we know that actually is part of prophecy. But when I clicked on the video, and when the guy said it, that's when the vision came, and I'm sitting there eating my food, and then I stood up out of my chair, stood up to the left, so I see this vision, this thing just comes in front of me, and you start to see this, if you like, movie play out, like movie scenes playing out before your eyes. And the first thing that appeared was the earth, the map of the earth, but it was like this. And this is the bit that I always say, you know, I've never really understood. And then on the left-hand side appeared pyramids, you know, huge big pyramids. You know, the proportion of the size of the pyramids to the map was way out of proportion, and it was emphasized in ancient Egypt. And then out of that grew roots. You know, I've done videos on it before. We've even done a particular video on the type of roots that came out. And these roots came out and they split at certain points. They split into two, and split into two, and split into two, and they kept multiplying and covering the earth. So you've got Egypt on the left. You've got this root that grows out of it, grows towards the right-hand side, and then grows over Africa and Europe. And each time the root was multiplying and splitting into two, you know, one part of the root grows, then it splits into two roots, and then those two split into another two. And so you've got all these little roots growing off, extending at the same time, and each break off was a religion. So I understood this religion, that religion, that religion, that religion. Like I say, I've done videos, gone into detail before. And then the roots got to Africa and stopped on the edge of the water. You know, obviously that's the way I'm looking at it. You know, in my mind, I'm looking at it like, you know, get to the water, then it stops for a split second, and then one root bounced diagonally over to South America. And I'm, after that, and another root split from Africa and broke off over the water into America. And then the sword came through America, sliced a diagonal slice, and cut it. And even that felt terrifying. And then after that point, you know, the map of the earth disappeared. I saw a 3-part message in words came up in front of me. The first one was the JEWs are fake. HITLER was right. I'll leave a link for that in the description box. And the Bible is for you. So the map disappeared, and I saw that on the map. Then these 3-part message that disappeared, the 3-part message came up, bang, bang, bang. Then that disappeared. And then I saw the earth spinning as if I was in space, and I saw the earth, it was all black, and it's just spinning around. And then around it was a web, but the web was of deceit, deception, total deception, as if to say, this earth here, this planet over here, you know, it's as if you're doing a guided tour of space. The Most High is giving you a guided tour of space. Oh, by the way, this is Earth. And yeah, at the minute we've got that covered in deceit. But you know, soon that will be taken off. And then the last thing in that whole vision was then Yahushai flying over the top of me, passing over. And I looked up, and there was a black figure with wings. And it was dark, so I could see it clearly because it was black. You know, I've used the comparison to the Predator, because obviously it's like, you know, it's there. You know, I knew it was there. It's clearly there because it's this black figure, but with the way it's black, as if it's shadowed out, so you just can't see any of the details, but you can see the outline of it. And he just whoosh flew over the top. And then, so, like, you know, just briefly, just to give you an understanding. So then, you know, I was pretty much baffled. You know, you read of Daniel being sick. You know, after night visions, becoming sick. You can become sick physically. You can become sick mentally, because in your brain you're bugging out. And imagine you got given all that information, but you never read one scripture. You don't know what's a Hebrew Israelite, but you got given all that info, and so straight away you know there's a Most High. There's no doubt. He's just showed himself to you, and that was his son. I didn't know his name, but I knew that was the son of the Most High. That's within that vision. And when you come out of the vision, you start looking things up. You realize, all those religions, the dates where they existed. And then there's a lot of things that go through your mind. Certain things you picked up from the vision, but you don't really know why you picked it up. One of those things was 2024. This was in 2018. And, in the weeks and the months after that vision, I used to sit there thinking to myself, because I knew he was going to mess up the earth. And I had this idea that the ground was going to shake. And I kept looking at the ground all the time, thinking he's going to make this ground shake. And I knew 2024 was a big year, but I didn't know any scriptures, and I had never had a teacher, so I didn't even look in the book, because I'm thinking, well, how am I going to understand this? And then it was about a year and a half, working with the Spirit, and then what the Spirit was doing was showing me how it controls everything, so that then I have kind of more levels of understanding. And then eventually I found the men of GMS and started to read the scriptures. So you find the scriptures, you go, okay, so now I can translate what I saw into words and into prophecy. And so I had that vision, and the one thing I never understood is why the map of the earth was upside down. And I've said this many times. Why show me the earth upside down? And I understood the sword. I understood the sword going through America when I got to the scriptures, because America's going to be destroyed. But why upside down? I understood the roots. I've done a video on the roots. I understand ancient Egypt, Mizraim. The fact that the roots grew to Africa, that's the diaspora. And there was a pause, and then they jumped over to South America. You get all these ancient Israelites, what they call these ancient South American, the Mayans and whatever else, these people, that's what they done. They went over there with their false idol worship, and then they went over to America, and obviously then America has a sword. So it all makes sense, but why was the earth, the map of the earth, upside down? And like I say, you can sit there in 2018 and know that 2024 is going to be a big year. But how can you tell in 2018 why it's going to be a big year? Riddle me that one, Batman. How are you going to do it? So this is why you can't just wake up in the morning and decide to be a prophet, because now you have to see the vision and see the events play out and understand it better in the future, and go, now I'm here at the events. Now I know why you showed me what you showed me. Now I know why you showed me the earth upside down. If John the Revelator is here today, whether he is or not, I don't know who that is, but if he's here today, he'll read his scriptures from 2,000 years ago, and he'll go, oh yeah, that thing under the skin, it's that. It's the MOTB, the RFID. So the vision I had was 6.5 years ago, and now we're in 2024. Along the way, got to January 2023. What I've realized through the events that are happening is that we say the Holy Spirit. Who's that voice that I keep hearing in the sky? Is it the Holy Spirit? Because it's quite clear and it's quite detailed. There's a lot of information, and the connection is quite strong. So what is this the Most High? Is this Yahushua? Is the Holy Spirit? And what I've come to realize in my own situation is that is Yahushua. So what's happened in the time in January 23, I made the video, and I said, look, you're going to have World War III within 3 years, by 2026. It was in January 2023, the video is there. And 10 months later, 10 months from when I said that, is October 2023. And what happened? Activation of the least of the flock, drawing out the other nations into world war. So you have that aspect. I mean, many things have been said in the meantime, and then you get to January 2024. And so this year, I've had a lot of things revealed to me. And like I say, it's all starting to make sense. In January, Apostle Tahar coined the year 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. And a big talking point in January was, one to look out for in 2024 was the solar eclipse. Then looking at the solar eclipse, then that's when the realization comes in. When I saw the sword swipe through America, it's swiping through at the same angle that the solar eclipse is coming from, the one that just came. So then you get to the solar eclipse, and it's March. Don't forget, it was March just gone. And the solar eclipse, the R and the Tha, the beginning and the end, Yahweh Shai, we know that's a symbol. We're waiting for it. And so knowing what I've known that whole time from 2018, I said, 2024 is going to be a big year. I don't think it's the year that the Lord comes back, but it's a big year. And January 23 said that we're going to have World War III by 2026. And then, if it's like between January and March this year, 2024, then having the realization that the vision that I saw, the sword represents the solar eclipse. So understanding all that, I started to say, look, from January, March this year, I said, look, the second half of 2024 is going to become hectic. The Most High is going to start doing something. And so this is not something I worked out, 2 weeks prior. This is something that I understood from 2018, but I just didn't understand to what extent or how until you see the events playing out. And then so since March to January to March, the beginning of this year, said, look, second half of this year is going to become really hectic. However, we're not going, the Most High, we're about to witness work of the Most High in a major way. He's not going on Esau's calendar. He's going on his calendar. And so the Hebrew calendar, the beginning of the year, starts in March. So even though, Apostle Tahar quite rightly coined 2024 the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, but technically the year started for the Most High, in March. The first month of the year, the solar eclipse came on the last day of the month, which was the only opportunity for it to come within that month. If it had come on the previous opportunity, it would have come within the previous year. So really, you're counting down from March to next March is a Hebrew biblical calendar year, according to the Most High, and we're working on the Most High's timescale. So saying that the second half of 2024, if you like, is going to get hectic, it's the second half of the Hebrew calendar year, which is where we're at now. From March to now, we've had 6 months. Now look what Klaus Schwab is telling you. Look at the state of Israel and the small hats. Look at the state of the civil unrest. Some people believe, we believe, I believe as well, but, we're not sure that we may not even have the election. So we're expecting things to pop off. We've got pestilences being talked of. We're expecting the effects of that any moment, for them to start telling us what to do. And it's quite clear what is happening. And then for myself personally, like I say, in the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've had a lot more revelation given to me by Haushai. And then, one of those things I was told, who I am in the scriptures. And so you scratch your head a little bit and you ask yourself, well, why would you tell me that? Why would you tell me that now? Why wouldn't you just leave that until... This is the question I asked myself. The Spirit came up. It's about 3-4 weeks ago. I didn't actually say what it was, but I'll say it. The Spirit came and said, I I knocked you off the horse back then, and I knocked you out of the chair now. And so then, see, when I'm having these conversations, these are not your own thoughts and imaginations, that you're thinking of. This is someone directly talking to you. So from that point onwards, you start to say, okay, I'm going to adjust my mindset here and look at things in a different way. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why have you then revealed that to me now? You could have revealed it to me in 6 months' time, or in the kingdom of heaven. But it's now. And then the reason why now is because what it does, it increases my faith on what I saw in 2018. And what I saw in 2018, like I say, I walked out of, you go to a job interview and you walk out of the job interview and they say, oh, how did you feel it went? Did it go good? Or I felt like it was good. I felt like it was bad. And it's the same thing when you have the vision. You come out of it, you got shown what you got shown, but then how do you feel? And what I did feel before I read the scriptures and all that stuff, I knew the ground was going to shake, and I knew 2024 was going to be big. So that little faith that I had back then has now been increased now, because now Yahweh Bashim, Yahushai showed me extra things about myself through the Spirit. So now I realize why I'm able to mark certain points along the way. From 2018, I said 2024. From 2023, I said by 2026. At the beginning of the year, I said watch by March next year. And so now we're here at this point, and then it happened to me yesterday again. So Spirit came, and I've been hearing this phrase all week from various different brothers, been mentioning this phrase in different videos or so on and so forth. And I've been keep hearing the phrase of turning the world upside down. And then that's when it came to me last night. What I showed you in 2018 is the world being turned upside down. So the sword swipe, not only was it death to America, was it the end, was it cut off? It represented the solar eclipse, the An Thar, the final one that we just had, the completion of that X. That's the one sword swipe that I saw. I understood 2024 was going to be a big year, but I couldn't understand why the map of the world was upside down. And now I understand what it is. The Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is about to turn this planet upside down. Now, I don't mean the planet as in the physical planet, the world, society. But you're looking at a picture of a map. Is he really going to turn the earth upside down? No, he's not. He's going to turn the society upside down. But you see, there's a way to understand these visions that you see. So this is, you think of John seeing the beast, and what does the beast look like? In the vision, we know what the beast looks like today, but what did it look like in the vision? He didn't see loads of people standing, sitting in their office cubicles and doing paperwork. Okay, he saw people with the MOTB, but he saw a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And so, like I say, what you see in the vision relates to the precepts, but sometimes you see them in a way which you don't actually understand. But when you get there, you realize, oh, that's what you showed me. You showed me the sword swipe through America, the solar eclipse, 2024, the world being turned upside down, but not the planet. It's the society that's about to happen, and we're seeing it right before our eyes. So you see, this is why we're coming back to the Most High, showing me, making me understand who I am. So, like I say, looking at the timeline that I've been highlighting all the way through, now at this point, how on point do you think my estimation is going to be? And like I was saying, you're going into a time of Jacob's trouble. All hell's going to break loose. You might not be able to hear scriptures. You might not be able to get hold of prophets that are breaking scriptures down for you, telling you what's happening next, what we're going to do next. This Jacob's trouble, the time could go on for some time. So you need to be able to work in the Spirit, and the Spirit will guide you through these events to help us navigate and see it coming, because we have to see these things coming before they do. We've spoken of this now up until this point in Jacob's trouble, but now what? We told you this is coming, but now what? Now we have to know that this is the time, so we can actually start to prepare ourselves for the up and coming months. So it all goes back into that understanding of faith. And one thing I did look at is Apostle Paul. You see, you had the disciples, with Yahushua, obviously the apostles, and when Yahushua was resurrected, he then spent 40 days with the apostles. But then Apostle Paul never met Yahushua, but then there was a point where he had that revelation through the Spirit, but it could only come after Yahushua had pretty much been on the cross. It couldn't have happened, while Yahushua was alive. He wouldn't go to Apostle Paul and say, "Oh, by the way, I'm Yahushua, and when I die," so it already had to have happened. So the whole process of him being apostle to the Gentiles and doing it through faith, never actually meeting Yahushua, but yet you got this man preaching about some guy who died that's apparently going to come back and save us from our sins. So then you start thinking, well, what's the timeline between when Yahushua died, it's on the cross, and then from him visiting Apostle Paul? And so I searched around and I found this one, JesusAlive.com. But, they're using the wrong name, but they put together the understanding from the scriptures and give you a good timeline. It says, how long was it from the time of Yahushua's death until he appeared to Paul on the road to Damascus? In a previous study, I spent a considerable amount of time studying how old Yahushua was when he died. They keep putting Jesus. I'm not going to use that name. It says, obviously, a part of determining that was trying to figure out the year that Yahushua was born, as well as the year he died. Based on a number of things, I determined that Yahushua likely died in 28-29 AD, between the ages of 33 to 35. Having determined the approximate year that Yahushua died, we simply need to know when Yahushua appeared to Paul on the road to Damascus. This was when Paul was converted and became a Christian, as in a believer, not a partaker in the religion of Christianity, but just a Christian, which means a believer. It says we find this conversion experience in Acts 9, 1-19, and Paul later recounted it in Acts 22, 6-21, and Acts 26, 12-18. While we cannot know with certainty from the Bible when this occurred, most scholars believe that this was between 33 to 36 AD. Okay, so this is not just people, from around the block just guessing. This is scholars that have, their understanding of it. It says, however, I think that the lower end of this range is less likely. We need to factor in the date that Stephen was martyred, which happened before Paul's conversion on the road to Damascus. While Paul did not actually stone Stephen, he was there and was consenting unto his death. Acts 8-1, Acts 22-20, Acts 7-58 says that those who stoned Stephen laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul or Paul. The dating Just in case you don't know, Saul was, before he was converted, he was known as Saul. To differentiate, obviously, from when he was converted, they referred to him as Paul after the conversion. It says the dating for when this happened is pretty narrow, with most scholars believing it was around 33 AD, give or take a year, about 4 to 5 years after the death of Yahushua. If this is the case, then Paul's Damascus experience followed this somewhere between the dates of 34 to 36 AD. It says here, note this means the time between the stoning of Stephen and the appearance of Yahushua to Paul on the road to Damascus was about 1 to 3 years. Therefore, taking the above into account, the amount of time between the death of Yahushua and his subsequent appearance to Paul on the road to Damascus would be, drumroll, 6 to 8 years, 28 or 29 AD to around 34 to 36 AD. The date of Paul's birth is generally believed to be within a range of 1 to 5 AD, about 5 to 10 years after Yahushua was born. It says here Paul was likely in his late 20s or early 30s when Yahushua appeared to him and he became a Christian. After his conversion, we are told that Paul went into Arabia for 3 years, Galatians 1:17 to 18, probably to study and reflect on the revelation given to him by the Lord. Just seeing if I need to read the rest. I'll just finish it anyway. As a result of his seeing the resurrected Yahushua on the road to Damascus, Paul called himself an apostle, one who has seen the risen anointed, Christ, that means anointed, who was born out of due time, 1 Corinthians 15 and 8. Note, some believe, me included, that Paul was the Most High's choice to replace Judas as the 12th apostle, but those in the upper room got ahead of the Most High's timing and chose Matthias instead, Acts 1 to 15 and 26. Well, Matthias is there, so it wouldn't be in the scriptures if he wasn't. So that's another thing. But it says here, I discussed this in further detail here, so he goes on about that. But looking at all these scriptures and what the scholars believe, these certain dates and timelines of when these certain people existed, all the people mentioned here, they put down it says here, therefore taking the above into account, the amount of time between the death of Yahushua and his subsequent appearance to Paul on the road to Damascus would be 6 to 8 years. So when I think of the vision that I had, it was 6.5 years ago. January was 6 years. And January 2026, I told you it's all going to be come and gone by then. And January 2026 would be 8 years exactly after I had the vision. We know the number 7 means perfection. Could be a major point. 7 years is January 2025. But like I say, having that vision, the ultimate point I want to bring out is the fact that I never understood until now, why the map of the earth was upside down, and now I understand what it is. It's 2024, the year of the Ah and the Tha, the solar eclipse. We're going on the Hebrew calendar, the Most High's timing. We've got 6 months to go within this year. It looks like the Most High Yahweh Yahushua is about to turn up the heat on these people. And me personally, I'm within that range of getting to 7 years since I had that particular vision, in between the 6 and the 8 mark. But we don't know the exact, no man know the date or the hour that Yahushua shall return, but all we can do is use the Spirit to try and work it out. This is the type of thing you're going to have to do through Jacob's trouble, because you might, like I keep saying, you might not be able to get hold of the man of the Lord, but you believe you're a member of the elect, and what have you got to work with? You won't have your phone because you won't be able to use it. You won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to use your car because you won't be able to buy fuel. And who knows what your situation is going to be. So we say you could get kicked out of your house because you can't pay rent, but technically you can. Sometimes it takes a landlord a little while to get you out of your house, out of your property. Who knows how it's going to go. Society is going to collapse. The Most High is about to turn the world upside down. So I'm just mentioning silly little things, but the point I'm making is it's going to be you and your third eye. That's all you've got. And so whether Yahweh Shai is coming through that third eye or not, you have to be aware. You have to see these spiritual messages around you. You've got to take yourself out of the world and put yourself into the Most High's world. Spiritual messages, the timings of things, counting 3, 7s and 10s, and then seeing signs showing us which way to go, which way to lead. Are we not doing that with the solar eclipse? And have we not seen that and said, this is a major sign? So this is where we're at. This is Isaiah 29 and 16. Now this is basically talking to the Edomites, if you like. I'll just go straight to the point. Isaiah 29 and 15 says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" And this talking about these banking elites, the ones who rule this society, and the ones that are bringing about the MOTB. It's Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai is about to turn the world upside down, and he's put the power into the elites, the ruling Edomites, to do it. And they're doing it by bringing about the MOTB, civil unrest, the Third World War. And it seems like a lot of things to come together all at once. And I've explained before, all these things are put into the hands of one group of people, and that is those banking elites. It says here, "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of the him that framed it, he hath no understanding?" And ultimately, these Edomites, the evil, the wicked, have been made for the day of destruction. He's about to use them for destruction, and the Most High is about to destroy them. And ultimately, when you look at the world around you today, everything's, you could say backwards, you could say wrong, you could say upside down. You go out there into the world, I see women kissing women, men kissing men. I see people trying to have sex with animals, and people trying to grow genetically modified plants. What's that all about? You go back to the ancient world, and then you imagine a man coming along, with hydroponic flipping produce. You're like, what the hell's all this about? Some space age, new age, demonic shit. Because food's natural, and you don't need to do all that to food. Everything in this world is upside down. You're supposed to be breathing clean, natural air. It's not. And so ultimately, what has happened is, the devil has been let loose for a little season, and that gave him the opportunity to turn things upside down. The Most High allowed him to do it. So in order to fix everything, the Most High has to then return everything upside down to turn it back the right way. While doing that, he brings the judgment. He turns society on its head. Civil unrest, collapse, World War III, destruction, judgment for 8 billion people plus, and everything that goes with it. So these Edomites turned the world upside down, and now the Most High has to return it back round. This is Isaiah 24. "Judgment on earth is, behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with the master, as with the maid, so with the mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. It says, the land shall be utterly emptied, and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh have spoken his word. And so on one sense, the Most High is going to turn society on its head, but on another sense, the earth is not necessarily going to be turned on its head, with the north and solar poles, but it will shake. America will be destroyed. The whole land will be annihilated within an hour, and the power of all the nuclear ICBMs hitting that particular one spot of the land, of the earth, all in one go, is definitely going to rock and move the earth. And it's going to, you have earthquakes, the islands are going to move, lands are going to shift, and then we're going to end up with a new map. So where I saw the map of the earth, like I say, the society is going to be turned upside down. That's what I was shown. I was also shown a map of the earth turned upside down. It's not literally going to be turned upside down, but it's going to be shaken up, and you're going to end up with a new map. So when we go into the kingdom of heaven, and if we make a map, it's not going to be like the map that I just showed you, whether it's upside down or not. Things are going to break up, they're going to move. Like you had Pangea. You had Pangea where all the land was together as one. And then after the flood, then we've got now these separate continents. And after the Great Destruction, coming very soon, you're going to have a new map of the world. So the Most High is turning society upside down to turn it back the right way around. The earth isn't literally going to be turned upside down, but it's going to be shaken about and moved about, and you're going to end up with a new map. This is Acts 17. Apostle Paul went to Thessalonica. I was going to say Berea after this, but before that he went to Thessalonica. This is Acts 17:1. It says, "Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where was a synagogue of the Jews." It says, "And Paul, as his manner was, went in unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures, opening and alleging that the anointed Yahushai," that fucking capital C again. It's just an adjective. It's not a name. It's just an adjective, descriptive word. It says that the anointed must needs have suffered and risen again from the dead, and that this Yahushai, whom I preach unto you, is the anointed. It says, "And some of them believed and consorted with Paul and Silas, and of the devout Greeks a great multitude, and of the chief women not a few. But the Jews which believed not moved with envy towards Paul." And they didn't like the fact that he was preaching this word about Yahushai. It says, "Took unto them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company." They were, what's that phrase? They were controlling opposition. They were, creating controlled opposition, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. So they're now looking for Paul, this guy preaching about this Yahushai. We need to stop him. Created an uproar amongst the people, and went down to Jason's house to pretty much get hold of them, to get hold of Paul and Silas. It says, "And when they found them not, they drew Jason and certain brethren unto the rulers of the city, crying, These that have turned the world upside down are come hither also." This goes on to say, "Whom Jason hath received, and these all do contrary to the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, one Yahushai." So those who are saying that the true king is Yahushai, the anointed, the only begotten son of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, those doing that have done what? These are turning the world upside down, doing that with the breakdown of these scriptures, and we're showing you these prophetical events as they happen in real time. They've been written down thousands of years ago, and thanks to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, the Holy Spirit, we're here today in this time to be able to break them down as they come to pass. So ultimately, the prophets, all the prophets, the men of the Lord, those that are out here preaching in the name of Yahushua, those that are preaching the word correctly and preaching all the prophecies correctly that are due to come to pass, giving the right warnings, ultimately you're turning the world upside down. We always tell you that the banking elites, they hear this word, they know it's going out, they know who we really are, and great fear is falling upon them that see us stand upon our feet. So we're in that time. You can look around you, it's not hard to work it out. Those that their eyes are really open, we're seeing it. Things are about to change. Things are about to become real brutal. And, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai didn't show us that solar eclipse for no reason at the beginning of this year. We're halfway through the year, second half of the year. And Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is about to turn this world upside down. So I hope that's edifying. I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakak Kwadash. And until next time, Shalom.